Welcome to Legal Management Talk, the official podcast of the Association of Legal Administrators. I am your host for this episode, Valerie Danner. Today, we're fortunate to have Teresa Walker and Dana Holsomback, two members of the Middle Tennessee chapter, a chapter that in many ways is leading the charge and making sure mental health stays top of mind within the legal industry. Teresa and Dana, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us, Valerie.
Thank you very much.
So we are talking about mental health, specifically how to spread word about resources that are available and the ones that we would like to see available for legal management professionals. And your chapter formed the Mental Health Task Force after you lost one of your beloved friends and fellow member, Jennie Wyatt, to suicide last year. Before we get into the remarkable work you are doing in her honor, I'd like you to tell us a bit about Jennie and what do you want others to know about her?
Well, Jennie had been with our chapter probably 20 years. I don't have the exact dates, but just guesstimate. And certainly was a shining light in our organization, our group of roughly 45 people based here in Nashville. And Jennie was always there, always a willing servant, if you will, for our chapter, and very beloved by all the members of the chapter. And one of the ways we came up with the title of our movement, which is #LoveJennie, is because we truly did love Jennie. She was just that kind of person that drew people to her. She was also a great storyteller. That's one of the key things that I remember about her, and I'm sure Dana will touch on that too. But I remember vividly, and I think it was roughly 2014, 2015, she was chairing the IDEA Awards program at annual conference each year. And Jennie just had this so calm demeanor, but what I remember vividly about her is her presence on stage. She was quite the storyteller. She just had this way of bringing you right into the essence of everything that she was trying to communicate to you. She was just, like I said, a vivid and great storyteller. Those are the key things that I remember about her.
She had a way of doing that personally as well. I had known Jennie. I was a member of the Chattanooga chapter before I joined the Middle Tennessee chapter, and had known Jennie from the fringes as a part of the Tennessee statewide retreat that we held each year. And she always made you feel welcome. She always had an encouraging word, always had a smile. I've described her as if you lined up 1,000 people and tried to pick the ones that you thought might be struggling with something, she would have been the very last one I would have picked.
Absolutely.
That speaks to the effort of why you're doing what you're doing, because sometimes mental illness and mental health issues have a way of hiding themselves. And this is a great way to keep them top of mind and out in the open. And I know one area you've actively trying to change is the TLAP, or the Tennessee Lawyers Assistance Program, since they don't offer services to those without a JD. Yet many of these extend their services to lawyers' families and even law students. So it seems a bit inexplicable that they don't recognize the rest of the legal staff can benefit from this specific support.
Absolutely. As we, in recovery from the loss of Jennie, came together as a group and put together the Middle Tennessee Task Force on Mental Health, we sat down and did some brainstorming, try to figure out, okay, what do we really want to do with this movement and this initiative? And through that process, it was suggested early on, we should reach out to the Tennessee Lawyers Assistance Program. Most of us had probably worked with that group over the years in one way or another, helping the lawyers within our organization address their own mental health issues. So we reached out to them. And lo and behold, there was a new executive director with that program. I had personally not met him at the time, but we got to know him as a group. Several of us from the chapter got to know him and were very impressed with what he brought to the table. His prior experience in a different state with the Lawyers Assistance Program, he shared with us about their efforts to bring additional people within law firms into the sphere of services provided by that program. And we were like, really? We don't have that here in Tennessee. What can we do to make that happen? Dana, you want to pick up with the rest of that story?
Yes, and we were very excited when Buddy Stockwell, who is the executive director, mentioned that he would be willing to share information for us to their board when they had their board retreat in April of this year. So that's exactly what he did. We prepared some surveys and got those out to law firm staff members and then law firm administrators. And we shared the results of those surveys with Buddy, and he subsequently shared those with the board of directors. The board is completely behind what we're trying to do, and they have agreed to go to the state Supreme Court, which is where the funding for the LAP programs comes from. So they are planning to present this to the state Supreme Court, and hopefully we will get backing from the Supreme Court to be able to expand those services.
Seems like a natural thing that should happen. I mean, like I said, if they're recognizing that family members can be affected or even law students, it just seems like a natural progression to be more inclusive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things we've also done with our task force is to, as a group, several of us got certified. We came together as a group and went through the mental health first aid training program. The chapter sponsored that for a number of members, and we probably had around 15 people who were able to attend that certification when we had it back earlier in February of this year. That helped us to identify a lot of resources that many of us were not familiar with, such as a crisis hotline that anyone can reach out to by dialing 988, or I think you can also text that number as well. So that was certainly one of the things that we learned from that first aid training. But we all felt that it was important for what we do in our day jobs, you know, taking care of so many people in our individual law firms, as well as just from the association's perspective, and just from life in general, of course. So we've used those opportunities to expand the number of certified first aiders that we have in the group, and we hope to use that subsequently working with administrators across the country.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. You found it so beneficial.
Absolutely. Great resource. We learned all about ALGE, you know, the acronym that's used by that program. And so it was a great program, full day. For anyone who hasn't experienced it, I highly encourage you, take the time as far as time and spend the few dollars that are needed in order to get that certification, because it is definitely very beneficial and helps to identify a lot of resources.
Definitely. I'll echo that. I was able to take it as part of ALA staff, and it was very insightful, also very draining. Like it was like 6 hours of very intense discussion, but it was very well worth it. So outside of the mental health first aid and the lawyer assistance program, have you uncovered any other resources or other our legal community could benefit from?
We've uncovered quite a few resources. As a matter of fact, on the Middle Tennessee website, our chapter website, it's mtala.org, there is a page that has links to all of the resources that we've been able to uncover. And Teresa stumbled across one through Vanderbilt Health, and I'll let her share about that.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity, I suppose is the right word, to make use of this program, but it is a program that is designed to help lawyers and doctors understand if they have cognitive issues. I know for many firms, as our practitioners age, we start to see that perhaps there's some cognitive decline. And for years, I had searched for a program to help with some sort of an assessment of that nature. And lo and behold, it was sitting here in my backyard. I'm based in Nashville. Dana and I both work out of Nashville. And at Vanderbilt University, the medical center, they actually have a program called Vanderbilt Comprehensive Assessment Program. And it is literally designed for lawyers and doctors. And they do testing of various sorts, usually about a full day regime of testing. And from that can determine, for instance, if someone might have mild cognitive impairment or even phasing on into dementia, Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. And so, as we know, dealing with lawyers can be very difficult in terms of convincing them that there are issues. But when you have a professional from a program like this one at Vanderbilt, it makes it so much easier for everyone to get on board and accept what may be either a good outcome or a bad outcome as far as that's concerned. So for me personally, I was like, that is a tremendous resource definitely for here in Nashville area, but certainly for the Southeast as well, because I know when we start looking for these sorts of programs, we'll scour the country as far as that's concerned to find something that we can get lawyers to go, okay, yes, these I know are professionals and I'll accept their decision.
It's a bit of kismet that it was in your backyard like that too.
Yes. Yes. Great things happen in Nashville every day.
Yes.
It's a lovely city. I can attest to that.
Absolutely. One of the other things that we have discovered through this process is we recently, in preparation for Chapter Leadership Institute, we were approved to be able to come and present to that conference, which happened actually about a week ago. And as a part of that preparation for that program, we did some research into the lawyers' assistance programs across the country. Fortunately, we're able to track down a 50-state survey, which provided information on all of the different LAP programs across the country. And through using that research, we were able to identify that there are actually 2 states that offer the lawyers' assistance program resources to people in law firms who do not have law degrees.
So only 2.
Only 2, but hey, at least there are 2, right? And there's a third, frankly, that offers services to paralegals. So typically these programs offer their services to lawyers, judges, law school students, and many of them also cover lawyers' families. And as we searched across the country, we came upon Mississippi as one that does provide services to law firm staff. So people who are not lawyers, who have mental health issues and could use some assistance from the resources from these programs. So Mississippi and New Mexico, both are the 2 states that offer those services. The third that offers services to paralegals, as well as lawyers, judges, law school students, is Montana. So that's the great news for our members who live in Mississippi, New Mexico, and if you're a paralegal in Montana, you're set as well. So we are certainly on a mission and want to actually challenge any and all of the chapters who are looking for projects for their chapters. Approach your local assistance program, have conversations with them. We want to encourage you as a ALA member, but also as a member of your local legal community to pursue getting those resources made available to others in law firms who are not lawyers.
Well, it sounds like
huge opportunity.
A way to becoming the third one officially.
We hope so.
We do.
We're definitely hopeful that plays out that way, and very thankful to the TLAP, Tennessee Lawyers Assistance Program, and to Mr. Buddy Stockwell for helping make that happen.
So there's a lot of great information here for our listeners to take away. I guess I wanted to see if there was anything else that you feel like we didn't touch on or you think is important to mention in regards to either Jennie or the work that you are doing in Tennessee.
I think a huge part of our mission, as Teresa mentioned, is to get the word out to other chapters and to other states so they have the resources they need to be able to reach out to their LAP programs. We are perfectly willing to share the survey language that we used. We did it through Google. It was completely anonymous. Nobody was aware of any a person that reported or answered the questions. So we're perfectly willing to share that with any other chapter or any other member that's interested in doing that. We also realized in the state of Tennessee that the YMCA offers the mental health first aid training at a reduced cost. So we're not certain if other states offer that as well, but it's certainly worth checking into because sometimes cost is prohibitive, and we're trying to get the word out to make people aware that those resources are available and that we are willing to share. We don't want them to have to reinvent the wheel. We want to be able to help them along the way as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all about making progress. So we felt it important to develop data as we prepared our proposal that Buddy Stockwell was going to present to the TLAP Commission. And so we felt like we had to try to collect data within our own chapter and within our state, of course, to be able to give him the information he needed. One of the questions in that survey that was very telling was in our administrator's survey. We asked if the person responding was aware of anyone within their firm who might have received or should have received mental health assistance in 2023. And from that survey, we identified 18 different people.
Wow. How many responses did you get?
Honestly, we had about 15 responses in that survey.
Wow.
So about, obviously, 1 1/3 in every firm that responded.
Definitely have touched on a very important nerve here with this.
Yes. Yeah.
And I also wanted to know, we did an article, Legal Management, that touched on some of these survey results, and I'll post that in the show notes when we post this episode live.
That will be great.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you both and your entire chapter, the Mental Health Task Force, for this important work you're doing to keep mental health and wellness at top of mind. It's brave to be here and discuss this. It's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's a beautiful way to honor your friend Jennie.
And lastly, Valerie, let us throw in there, #LovedJennie. There's actually a page on the Middle Tennessee chapter's website that provides information about the work that we're doing and also details about Jennie's story. We truly did love Jennie.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's evident in what you're doing, keeping her legacy alive and making it matter to others.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, well, we all appreciate it.
Yes.
Just wanted to thank everyone for listening. And like I said, we will post the links we talked about, the Middle Tennessee chapter's website, and the link on the show notes as well. Be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. So thanks for listening.